The girl who questioned the wind. In the quiet riverside town of Umunkiri, where fishermen sang to the river and children played under mango trees, lived a girl named Edeora. She was 12 years old, smart as a whip, and as stubborn as a goat that's just seen a fresh cassava leaf. Edeora didn't live with her parents. They had passed away when she was just a toddler, leaving her in the care of her mother's younger brother, Uncle Chuka, a laid-back man who preferred palm wine and peace to problems and politics. "Let the river flow where it flows," he always said. "No need to fight it." Edeora, on the other hand, was not one to just go with the flow. She paddled upstream, danced in rainstorms, and, most scandalous of all, whistled after sunset. Now, you might not think that's a big deal. But in Umunkiri, whistling after sunset was like poking a sleeping lion with a short stick. The village elders believed it called wandering spirits, especially the kind that had nothing better to do than hunt misbehaving children. Every time Edeora puckered her lips and let out a tune, someone nearby gasped, clutched their chest, or ran to fetch holy water. But did Edeora stop? Of course not. A tune after twilight. One particular evening, after dinner of yam and egusi stew, Edeora sat on the wooden steps of Uncle Chuka's hut. The sun had dipped below the hills, painting the river in shades of gold and indigo. Crickets chirped, frogs croaked, and Edeora, cheeky as ever, whistled a melody she'd made up herself. It wasn't long before the neighbor's dog began barking at nothing, and Mrs. Nook, the elderly widow across the path, shouted to Fiokwa, "Child, do you want to summon the spirits again?" Edeora just grinned. "If the spirits like music, maybe they'll come and dance." And just like that, the wind changed. It wasn't the usual breeze that carried the smell of the river. This wind was cold, sharp, whispery. And it spoke. "Edeora. Edeora." She froze. Not in fear. In fascination. She stood, squinting toward the trees where the breeze seemed to gather, swirling the leaves like a whispery whirlwind. The voice came again, soft, singing, strange. The drum sleeps where stars do weep. Beneath the roots, in silence deep. If you would wake the sky's own sound. Find where the forest wraps around. Then, silence. The wind died. Even the crickets paused, like they were waiting for a punchline. The riddle and the griot. The next morning, Edeora practically skipped to the house of Nana Ijeoma, the village griot, storyteller, memory keeper, and part-time herbalist with one blind eye and a voice that sounded like old gravel. Nana Ijeoma looked up from her basket of dried herbs as Edeora arrived, breathless. "You look like the market just gave birth to a monkey," Nana said, chuckling. "What brings you running like the ground is chasing you?" Edeora told her everything, the wind, the whisper, the riddle. The old woman went silent. Her one good eye narrowed like a closing door. She stood, walked to the back of her hut, and returned with an ancient drumstick carved from ebony wood. "Edeora," she said, her voice lower now. "You have been called." "Called by who?" "The wind." "The wind is only the messenger," Nana replied. "The true voice belongs to the drum of oak forest, a relic so old, the earth barely remembers its beat." Edeora leaned forward, eyes wide. "A century ago," Nana continued, "the drum sang once every 100 years. Its rhythm healed droughts, calmed storms, even united warring clans. But then, it vanished. Buried itself in the forest. Waiting for someone brave or foolish enough to wake it." "Brave and foolish," Edeora said, grinning. "That sounds like me." Uncle Chuka's warning. Back at home, Edeora explained everything to Uncle Chuka, who was halfway through his third helping of roasted plantain. He listened, chewed slowly, and finally said, "Ada, the only thing drums bring is noise. This sounds like village gossip mixed with bad stew." "But uncle," she protested, "this could be important. It's a quest." He stared at her. The last time you said something was important, you climbed the water tower to prove chickens could fly. They did flap a little before falling, Edeora muttered. Uncle sighed and rubbed his temples. Edeora, you are my only niece. If you go marching into Oak Forest chasing talking winds and magical drums, I'll have to come rescue you. And I really hate walking uphill. She smiled. Then don't worry. I'll rescue myself. He stared at her a long while. Then he got up, walked to a dusty box in the corner, and pulled out a small woven pouch. Take this, he said. It was your mother's. Inside is a lucky stone. It didn't work very well for luck, obviously, but maybe it will for you. Edeora hugged him. Thanks, uncle. Just promise me one thing. What? If the wind tells you to dance naked under the moon, don't. The journey begins. That night, Edeora packed a small satchel, roasted groundnuts, a bottle of water, her mother's lucky stone, and a handmade flute Ikena had given her years ago. Before sunrise, she stood at the edge of the oak forest, its trees taller than dreams and thicker than secrets. The wind rustled the leaves like a slow clap of approval. She took one step in. Then another. And with a wink at the rising sun, she whispered, if the wind can call me, I'll answer back. And just like that, the girl who questioned the wind walked into legend. The forbidden drum calls. Oak Forest was not the kind of place you entered lightly. The trees were taller than temple pillars and so tightly packed, they looked like they were whispering secrets to each other. The air was thick with fog, mischief, and the very strong scent of maybe turn back now. But of course, Edeora marched right in. Behind her stumbled Ikena, her best friend and reluctant sidekick, dragging a sack full of weird gadgets and muttering complaints. I told you, he groaned, I build things. I don't hike things. You'll be fine, Edeora said, swatting a mosquito. Just pretend it's a big science project. Forest edition. I prefer my projects with less humidity and more snacks, Ikena muttered. Buzzkill socks. Ikena paused and yanked something from his bag with a proud grin. Behold, my latest invention. Edeora squinted. Socks. Not just socks, he declared. Anti-mosquito socks. Soaked in a secret plant blend. Totally untested. Should repel insects for up to 5 hours, or attract them. I'm still working that part out. The socks, to their credit, did something. Unfortunately, that something was to act like a 5-star mosquito buffet. Within minutes, a buzzing army descended, treating Ikena's ankles like an all-you-can-eat yam festival. He danced, he slapped, he shrieked. Edeora howled with laughter. They're anti-mosquito socks, alright, she teased. Because you clearly offended the entire mosquito population. I am never inventing anything again, he hissed, slapping his leg. Until next week, she said with a smirk. The octopus of the glade. By mid-afternoon, the fog had thickened and the forest grew strangely silent. Even the birds seemed to be holding their breath. That's when they stepped into a clearing, a glowing glade where the sunlight filtered through like liquid gold. And then came the giggling. Out of the bushes sprang 3 tiny creatures, no taller than a yam tuber, with skin like polished wood and eyes that glowed like fireflies. Their ears were pointy, their grins crooked. Octopus, Edeora whispered. Forest sprites. The tallest one, who was still shorter than Ikena's knee, squeaked, to pass this glade, you must play our game. Answer wrong, and you'll walk in circles until your hair turns grey. Too late, muttered Ikena, scratching his ankle. The octopus danced in a circle and chanted. I rise but never fall. I travel yet stay in place. I touch you but leave no trace. What am I? Edeora tapped her chin. A riddle. Okay, rises, travels, touches, no trace. Hope. Ikena guessed. Wind, Edeora said. It's the wind. The octopus paused. Then burst into applause. Clever girl. Another. What has roots as nobody sees? Is taller than trees. Up, up it goes. Yet it never grows. Easy, Eudora grinned. A mountain. The octopus clapped again, clearly impressed. One of them tossed a sparkling leaf at Eudora's feet. Your wit is sharp. You may pass. But beware, said the smallest octopus with a sly smile. The drum doesn't play for free. The drum of echoing skies. Deeper they went. Thicker the vines grew. Time felt like it slowed, or maybe it just got weirder. At one point, Ikena looked at his watch, only to find it ticking backward. We're either inside a magical field, he said, or I've accidentally built a time machine with my ankle monitor. Then they saw it. In a circular grove of whispering trees, half covered in glowing moss, sat the drum of echoing skies. It was massive, 3 times the size of Eudora. Its surface was woven from bark and gold threads, and it throbbed with a pulse, as if it were alive. Vines wrapped around it like protective arms, and every time Eudora stepped closer, the vines twitched, just slightly, like a dream about to wake up. This is it, she whispered. It looks loud, Ikena said, backing up. Eudora stepped forward. The vines parted slowly, as though they had been waiting a very long time. She raised her hands. One steady breath in, and then she struck the drum. Play on, little drummer. Boom. The forest shuddered. Leaves leapt from branches. The ground vibrated. The stars above twinkled and shifted, literally moved, like they were dancing to a rhythm only they could hear. Then came laughter. A shape soared out of the mist, forming into a lanky, twisting figure with skin like moonlight and eyes full of mischief. Oh, it sighed. At last. A drummer with bold hands and louder questions. Who are you? Eudora asked, holding the drumstick tight. I am Ekwensu, it said with a wicked grin. Spirit of crossroads. Trickster of trials. King of making things very complicated. Oh no, Ikena muttered. She summoned the magical version of my cousin Emeka. Ekwensu floated down until he was eye level with Eudora. You beat the drum, child. Now it beats for you. But one rhythm awakens another. If you play again, you'll unlock more than just sound. You'll shake the sky. Is that bad? She asked. Ekwensu's grin grew wider. It depends. On whether you're playing for fun, or playing for fate. Eudora narrowed her eyes. Then I'll play to find the truth. The spirit let out a sharp laugh. Very well. Play on, little drummer, if you dare. And with a flick of wind and shadow, Ekwensu vanished into the stars. The forest paused again. The path ahead lit up in glimmers of silver light. Ikena groaned. I missed the mosquitoes. They were simpler. Eudora smiled, drumstick in hand, eyes shining with resolve. Adventures got a beat now. And I plan to follow it. Face to face with chaos. The silver glow around the drum of echoing skies faded, and the forest seemed to exhale. Then, like a curtain of smoke, Ekwensu reformed in front of Eudora and Ikena, tall, thin, and grinning the way a crocodile grins at a dancing goat. Congratulations, little drummer, the spirit sang. You woke the forest, startled the stars, and bruised a few mosquitoes. Ready for level 2. Eudora tightened her grip on the drumstick. What do you want, trickster? Ekwensu's eyes gleamed like twin fireflies. A simple bargain. Complete 3 tasks before dawn's first rooster cries. Succeed, and I will guide you safely home with the drum's blessing. Fail, and you'll spend eternity stuck in half-written songs, forever humming the tune, never reaching the chorus. Ikena gulped. Eternity. That's longer than exam week. Eudora inhaled, steady and sure. Name the tasks. With a snap of his fingers, the forest shifted, tree trunks twisted like soft clay, the air smelled of cinnamon and thunder, and the moon shimmered blood orange through the branches. Task 1, Ekwensu purred, is a personal favorite. 2. A Task 1, Mirror of Mistakes. The ground beneath Adeora's feet turned glassy, reflecting her image in eerie detail, same bushy braids, same determined eyes. But the mirror began replaying scenes from her life like a living slideshow. Adeora at age 6, ignoring a warning sign and breaking Uncle Chuka's handmade fishing pole. Adeora at 8, climbing the mango tree, sleeping, and blaming the neighbor's goat. Adeora last month, laughing when small Kamsi tripped during kite flying, instead of helping her up. Each memory shimmered, then exploded into smoky silhouettes that circled her, whispering, stubborn, careless, proud. Adeora's pulse pounded. She tried swinging her drumstick, but the shadows only multiplied. Ekwensu's voice drifted in like cold dew. Fight them, and they'll feast on your anger. Forgive them, and they'll fade. She clenched her jaws, pried a heavy pebble on her tongue. I don't apologize, I explain, she used to joke. But now the echoes of every blunder hummed like an off-key choir. Adeora set the drumstick down. I was wrong, she whispered to the youngest shadow, the one holding the broken fishing pole. And I never said sorry to Uncle. I should have. The silhouette burst into golden sparks. She faced the mango tree memory. I blamed the goat because I was scared. I'm sorry, little goat. More sparks. Finally, she turned to the kite-filled scene. I laughed to hide my embarrassment. Kamsi, you deserved kindness, not ridicule. The last shadow dissolved, showering her with warm light. The glassy ground returned to moss. Adeora exhaled, cheeks wet with surprised tears. A gentle bell tone chimed overhead, Task 1, complete. Ikena applauded softly, wiping his own damp eyes. You did it, Ada. Ekwensu yawned. Touching. Ready for round 2. 3. A Task 2, Echoes of Empathy. With a clap, the trickster spirit warped the scene again. Now the forest resembled a vast, moonlit amphitheater. Invisible voices whispered from every direction, hundreds, maybe thousands, fearful, lonely, broken. What if I'm not enough? Will my child survive the fever? Does anyone hear me? Adeora felt each question like pins in her heart. The rules appeared in glowing letters above her head. Listen to 10 fears. Speak 10 healing answers. None of them will hear you. But truth travels on the wind. Ikena fumbled in his satchel. Maybe my audio clarifier 3.0 can. Adeora shook her head. This isn't about gadgets. She closed her eyes. A voice of an old fisherman echoed, the river keeps my name, but my children have forgotten it. Adeora answered gently, your worth isn't measured by how loudly you're remembered, but by the ripples your kindness leaves. A hush. One of the glowing stars above blinked out, count 1. Next, a young mother's panic, how do I feed them tomorrow? Adeora whispered, hope is a seed that multiplies when shared. Help is closer than you think, keep asking. Count 2. She moved voice to voice, 10 in all, offering words of courage, apology, or quiet solidarity. Each response snuffed another star until the amphitheater dimmed into peaceful night. When Adeora opened her eyes, Ikena stared with awe. How did you know what to say? He shrugged. Sometimes you answer others the way you wish someone would answer you. Ekwensu clapped slowly, mock impressed. You see hearts, little drama. But can you command storms? For Task 3, the unsung harmony. Thunder cracked. A colossal cyclone spiraled above the treetops, roaring, spinning, yanking whole branches into the sky. Leaves flew like frightened birds. Ekwensu cackled, wind whipping his silver smoke hair. Compose a tune that gentles my storm. Oh, and your fancy drum. Off limits. Vines instantly wrapped the drum of echoing skies, sealing it shut. Adeora's stomach dropped. No drum. The trickster wagged a finger. Use what you have. Dawn approaches. Ikenna rummaged like a mad scientist, a hollow bamboo tube, rusty tin lids, the infamous anti-mosquito socks, and a pocket-sized music box he'd been tinkering with for months. He thrust the bamboo to Adeora. Flute. Handed over the tin lids. Clash cymbals, sort of. He slipped the squeaky socks over his arms. Percussion by Mosquito Shim. Finally, the music box, its gears half loose. And this, well, it tries to sing. Adeora laughed, nervous, defiant. She positioned the pieces. Bamboo flute to capture the howling wind notes. Tin lids to mimic thunder, but softer. Ikenna sock slaps for humorous rhythm, breaking the cyclone's menacing beat. And the toy box, a wobbly, lullaby-like chime for a finishing layer of calm. She counted them in. Ikenna, itching horribly, still managed a half-beat box vocal, ts tisk boom, ts tisk boom. Adeora's flute caught the shriek of the gale with a climbing melody, high, higher, then sliding down gentle like rain on a rooftop. She clamped the lid softly, thunder muttering instead of roaring. Ikenna's off-tempo sock drums roared underneath, silly and strangely soothing. Finally, the music box chimed a fragile three-note pattern, tink tink tink, repeating like a bedtime heartbeat. The cyclone faltered, thinned, and, impossibly, began to dance around them in a widening spiral, losing fury with every turn. Seconds later, it popped like a soap bubble, showering petals instead of debris. Silence. Then, the forest burst into applause, leaves rustling, frogs croaking, even distant monkeys whooping approval. Adeora bowed, panting. Ikenna collapsed, out of breath and madly hive-covered. We did it. Ekwensu floated down, arms crossed, face unreadable. 5 upset the odds, and a twist. 3 tasks, complete, Adeora announced. Your bargain is fulfilled. The trickster tapped his chin. Yes, but bargains are like Audrey, fermented paste, always a bit smelly. One more tiny condition. Adeora's smile faded. That's not what you said. True. Ekwensu's grin snapped back. But did you ask for a written contract? Lightning flickered behind him, dawn's first grey smudge crept over the horizon. The drum of echoing skies is yours, he said, vines uncoiling with a hiss. Yet true power requires movement. Beat it once more, and its song will guide you home. Or you can walk the long way, guessing paths forever. Your choice. Something in his tone chilled her. What happens if I strike it now? He shrugged. Maybe it opens a door. Maybe it opens all doors. Ikenna whispered, oh, that's comforting. Adeora weighed the stick in her hand. She had faced mirrors of guilt, soothed strangers' fears, tamed the cyclone. She trusted her courage, but not Ekwensu's fine print. She lowered the drumstick. We'll find our own way. Ekwensu's eyebrows shot up. Refusing a shortcut. How deliciously inconvenient. With a snap, the ground beneath them cracked open, forming a swirling puddle of shimmering blue water. The river no awaits, he sang. Step through and test whether your new harmony can keep you afloat, or if the echoes pull you under. Before they could protest, a gust yanked them forward. Adeora grabbed Ikenna's hand, the drum tucked under her arm, and they tumbled into the light. Ekwensu's laugh echoed after them, rolling through the forest like a mischievous drumroll. Onward, little drummer, if you dare. Ekwensu's last laugh. Adeora and Ikenna hit the ground like 2 yam sacks tossed from the sky. Light fled, mist rolled. Behind them thundered the delighted cackle of Ekwensu, already fading into shadow. Enjoy the river, little drummer, the trickster called. It remembers everything, and forgets nothing. Then, silence. Almost. Because the silence repeated itself. Echo, Akena whispered. Echo, the air whispered back, then again, and again, each copy a little quieter, stretching into infinity. They were on the bank of the river Nono, a ribbon of black glass under a violet dawn. Every splash, cough, or careless whisper bounced across the water forever, layering until sound itself felt heavy. Eudora lifted the drum of echoing skies, cradling it like a sleeping child. Crossing here must be the next test. Cross. Akena pointed at the roiling current. I can't even look at it without hearing my own heartbeat argue with itself. A pebble slipped beneath his shoe. Plop, 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 plop. The drops echoed into the distance like a marching band of single drummers unwilling to stop. Rule 1, Eudora said, grimacing, no extra noises. Rule 2, Akena added, absolutely no sneeze. Sneeze, the river repeated. Sneeze, sneeze, sneeze. Akena facepalmed. Great. 2 Tempera turbulence. They stepped toward a sandy bar. Instantly the air around them shimmered. On Eudora's very first footfall, the wall tilted. Where her left sandal touched earth, time fractured. Wrinkles streaked her skin. Hair silvered. Her back hurled like a question mark aching for an answer. I'm 80, she croaked, voice rattling out twice and thrice in the echo chamber. And my knees disagree with gravity. Then her right foot landed on firmer ground. Youth snapped back through her bones, an elastic band rewinding the years. She stood 12 again, dizzy. Akena's jaw swung open. That was horrifying. His voice echoed, horrifying, horrifying, until he slapped both hands over his mouth. The river copies sound, Eudora wheezed, and the sand copies time. Wrong step moves you forward or backward. We must follow a safe path. Define safe, Akena said, removing one trembling hand. Safe, 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 the bank mocked. She scanned the shore. Patches of sand shimmered gold, those, perhaps, were stable. Others paused sickly green. Gold equals our true age, she guessed. Green warps us. Akena brightened. An observable pattern, finally something scientific. He pulled a thin copper rod from his satchel, tapped a gold patch. Nothing changed. Then tapped a green patch, instant corrosion ate the rod in seconds. Empirical data gathered, he squeaked. Let's step only on gold. And hush, Eudora reminded. Every word can trap us in echo. They tiptoed, playing hopscotch on golden islands of stable time. Each cringeworthy squeak of Akena's anti-mosquito socks repeated back at them like sarcastic applause, squeak, 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 but the path held. Halfway across the shore they discovered an ancient wooden boat, cracked but afloat, tethered to a single crooked tree. And snoring inside that boat was 3 the Fisher King. An old man, skin moon-pale, eyes shut, beard flowing into the river like bleached seaweed. An empty fishing line drooped over the side. Yet from the hook dangled not fish but tiny glowing words, hello, 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 good morning, 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 echo fragments he had caught. Eudora recognized him from half-remembered nursery tales. The Fisher King, she whispered. His eyelids fluttered open. Someone spoke. His voice came out brittle and astonishingly clear. Have you come to listen? Listen, the river echoed, eager. Eudora nodded. If that's what you need. The Fisher King sat up, joints creaking like old gates. Centuries I've cast nets for fish. Centuries I've pulled up only echoes. My curse, no soul may cross unless one soul first hears every word of mine, unedited. He sighed, and the sigh rippled across the water. Many tried. All fled before the first sunrise till reached noon. Akena paled. We don't have that kind of time. The Fisher King smiled sadly. Time. I have oceans. You have until the river claims your voice in loops. He gestured to the seat across from him. Edeora met Ikena's uneasy gaze. Then she placed the drum gently in the boat and stepped in. I will listen. For listening has power. The Fisher King began, soft, slow. Childhood memories of dusty markets, of learning river songs beside a mother who sang better than any waterbird. He spoke of youth, love gained and lost, wars that changed the river's name 3 times, kings who crowned themselves only to drown in hubris. For each story Edeora remained still, hands folded, eyes open. She did not yawn, though echoes of yawns floated past from listeners long gone. She did not interrupt, though questions bubbled like stew inside her mind. She simply listened. And a strange thing happened. Each time the Fisher King finished a chapter, one layer of echo peeled away from the riverbank, like mist burning under sunlight, making the surrounding silence gentler. Hours drifted. Ikena, pacing ashore, muttered occasionally into a rag so his echoes muffled inside it. He tightened the boat rope, whittled driftwood, waited. Finally the Fisher King spoke of the day his curse began, refusing to help a thirsty traveler who asked for water. The traveler revealed himself as a spirit of mercy and sentenced the selfish fisherman to harvest echoes until he learned the weight of unheard voices. Tears traced silver lines down his cheeks. And only today have I truly been heard. Edeora placed her palm over his weathered hand. Your stories were rivers of their own. Thank you for trusting me with them. A golden hush settled. The water fell perfectly silent, the first genuine silence since they'd arrived. The Fisher King straightened. His beard shortened, his eyes glowed young. Then my debt is paid. He handed Edeora a thin bone flute carved with swirling runes. Play one pure note, and no will carry you. He stepped onto the shore, lifted his line, now baited with real fish. He laughed, a free, merry sound, and walked away, leaving neither echo nor footprint, finally mortal once more. 5. The Bridge of Single Note. Edeora climbed from the boat, flute in hand, drum over her shoulder, cheeks aching from hours of quiet empathy. Time for that single note. But which note? Ikena asked. She remembered the lullaby she'd crafted to calm the cyclone, a gentle 3-note pattern. Inside it the middle note held a calm neither high nor low, an anchor. She pressed the flute to her lips, drew one slow breath, and played that middle pitch, sweet, steady, unwavering. The note shot across the river like a beam of moonlight, then turned, to their eyes, solid. Ripples froze into glowing steps, each connected by shimmering threads of sound waves. The bridge hummed but produced no echo, as if the river respected the pureness of a single, deliberate tone. Edeora placed her foot on the first ripple. It held. No time warp, no repeated sound. Just peaceful hum. Ikena followed, socks still squeaky, yet the bridge absorbed every squeak, letting nothing bounce back. Halfway over, he gasped. Look, the water. Below them, impenetrable blackness melted into mirrored scenes. They watched themselves forgiving mistakes, telling kind words to invisible souls, beating storm-taming drums. The river wasn't mocking now, it was remembering, but in a new way, flat reflections, not endless echoes. It had been taught to listen, too. At the far bank the bridge ended with a final soft chord that vanished into dew. Dawn sunlight greeted them through parted clouds. Birds sang original, non-looping songs. Edeora set the flute in Ikena's palm. A gift for your next invention. He smiled wide. I'll attach reverse echo filters. They glanced back. The river Nono flowed quietly, a normal river once more, while an old fisher hummed at its edge, finally catching breakfast. Edeora hoisted the drum of echoing skies. 2 trials down, she said, voice firm, hopeful. Assuming Ekwensu doesn't move the goalpost again, Ikena muttered, then added brightly, but hey, at least we didn't age into dust or drown in our own voices. Edeora laughed, the sound ringing free, and fading naturally, as all healthy sounds should. Ahead lay the path to Umunkiri and whatever final twist the trickster might throw. But for this brief sunrise, the air was simple, clear, and echo-free. Returned to Umunkiri. Dawn slid into full morning as Edeora and Akena left the river Nono behind. They were muddy, mosquito-bitten, and running on courage more than calories, but the drum of echoing skies bounced against Adora's shoulder like a friendly heartbeat. The closer they came to Umunkiri, the stranger the world looked. A ribbon of shimmering light, green, gold, and deep purple, stretched across the sky, pulsing exactly to the rhythm Edeora had played on her flute. Birds flew in spirals around it, confused. Even the stubborn village goats paused mid-bleat to admire the cosmic kaleidoscope. By the time Edeora and Akena reached the first cluster of clay huts, pandemonium had erupted. Elder Yuzo sprinted past waving a palm frond. The heavens are leaking rainbows. Find a bucket. Mrs. Nook knelt in the road reciting every prayer she knew, with a backup list just in case. The drummer boys, believing the apocalypse would at least need good percussion, whacked their talking drums in frantic disarray. Edeora raised her hand. It's alright. The sky isn't broken, it's the end times, a grandmother shrieked. A cosmic sneeze, offered the town herbalist. Edeora planted the drum on the dusty road with a resonant boom. The rainbow ribbon instantly brightened, then softened into an arch above the village square, like the sky itself leaned in to listen. Panic paused mid-scream. I'll explain, Edeora said, panting. But first, breathe. Nobody is doomed and nobody should grab the holy water unless you're actually thirsty. Akena tugged her sleeve. Maybe we call a quick village meeting before someone tries to marry a goat for good luck. 2. Confronting the council. 5 minutes later Edeora stood in the circular courtyard of the elders, barefoot, drumstick in hand, sweat streaking her dusty cheeks. The entire village packed every doorway, rooftop, and mango branch. Uncle Chuka elbowed his way to the front, equal parts relief and exasperation. Chief Elder Yuzo, tallest of the council, cleared his throat like thunder. Edeora, child, you vanished without permission, broke the sacred rule of the forest, and now the sky looks like it swallowed every die in the market. Explain yourself. Edeora bowed. With respect, I didn't vanish. I went on a quest the wind itself invited me to. The wind, muttered Elder Onukochi. Next, goats will issue printed invitations. Edeora lifted the drum. This relic is older than any of us. It called me. I listened. I faced riddles, storms, and my own mistakes. I learned that curiosity is not an enemy of tradition, only pride is. Mama's report. Some skeptical, some curious. Uncle Chuka stepped forward, arms folded. My niece may be stubborn, but she seldom lies. If she says she learned something, I believe her. Edeora met every elder's gaze. We teach children obey first, ask later. But sometimes questions hold hidden respect. We seek to understand so the rule can grow instead of stagnate. Isn't a living tradition better than a fossilized one? A hush settled as heavy as harmattan dust. Then Elder Ifeananya, oldest and sharpest of them all, smiled. When a rule still has breath, it must inhale new air and exhale the old. Let us hear the full story before judgment. Edeora exhaled, grateful. She began recounting everything: Nana Ijoma's prophecy, the Okpa's riddles, Ekwensu's test, the Fisher King's release, and the river bridge of pure sound. The crowd listened, mouths round as calabashes. When she finished, even the loob-loob-loob of the drum's heartbeat seemed to pause for effect. Elder Yuzo finally nodded. Curiosity with respect, lesson received. But traditions are steady, changing them requires proof. Edeora smiled. Proof is easy. Listen. 3. Ekwensu reappears. She lifted the drumstick, but, before it could strike, a familiar laugh slithered through the air like a mischievous flute trill. Testing, Testing. Village, can you hear me? A swirl of silver mist formed beside the mango tree. Out stepped Ekwensu, trickster spirit extraordinaire, wearing a straw hat far too small for his enormous ego and cradling, of all things, Mrs. Nook's basket of ripe plantains. Gasps shot around the courtyard. Chickens fainted dramatically. Uncle Chuka's palm wine flask froze halfway to his lips. Edeora sighed. Ekwensu, give those back. The trickster shrugged. Borrowed, not stolen. I promise a dramatic return. He flipped one plantain into the air, it vanished, reappeared behind Elder Onikochi's ear, and plopped into his startled hand. Why are you here? Edeora asked. To clarify the record, Ekwensu said, bowing with theatrical flair. I was never your foe, dear drummer. Merely the examiner. The forest needed a guardian brave and kind. You passed with flying rainbows. He winked at the sky. The ribbon light above flickered in reply. And now, Ekwensu continued, my final mischief, returning these plantains, he produced the rest and tossed them to Mrs. Nook, and reminding you all that rules matter, but hearts matter more. Toodaloo. With a clap, he dissolved into a spiral of glitter that tasted somehow of pepper soup. For Harmony Festival. Silence, then wild cheering broke loose. If a goat was being married for luck somewhere off stage, nobody noticed, everyone was too busy hugging, laughing, or pepper spraying confetti made of flower petals. Elder Ifeanyi raised both arms. Tonight, we whistle after sunset. A hush, then a collective gasp. Whistling after dark, unthinkable for generations. Edeora climbed the council platform and struck the drum once, a gentle heartbeat. Color rippled across the sky like liquid joy. She began to whistle her three-note lullaby, pure, calm, playful. Ikena, ever the inventor, pulled out his battered music box, tuned it, and wound it until it chimed in harmony. Children grabbed empty calabashes and turned them into drums, old men used walking sticks as flutes, Auntie Oma clanged two cooking pots like cymbals. Soon the main street glowed with torches and fireflies, alive to a brand new harmony festival. People whistled freely, after sunset, and nothing spookier than a giggling toddler appeared. Even the elders, after an initial wince, joined in, discovering that laughter fits inside a whistle quite nicely. Adora's melody twined with hundreds of improvised harmonies. The night air thickened with sound so beautiful the moon itself seemed to tilt closer. The ribbon light above condensed, descending until it wrapped the drum in a shimmering cocoon. 5 Mora and Legacy. At dawn's first blush, Edeora carried the glowing drum to the center of the square, where an old, cracked stone well had long sat abandoned. She placed the drum on the mossy rim. The earth vibrated once, twice, then split in a neat circle around the drum. From that seam sprouted a slender trunk made of woven gold bark. Leaves unfurled, thin, translucent, as if sculpted from morning light. Each leaf tinkled like a tiny chime whenever the breeze kissed it. Gasps turned to awe. The song tree was born. Edeora stepped back, tears pricking her eyes. Let this remind us that bravery without empathy is noise, and empathy without bravery is silence. Together, they are music. Elder Ifeanyi laid a wrinkled hand on Adeora's shoulder. You've changed the village, child. Edeora shook her head. We changed ourselves. I just kept asking why. Uncle Chuka ambled over, wiping suspicious moisture from his eyes. Well, way to make the rest of us look boring. Edeora laughed and hugged him. Wait till next week. Ikena nudged a branch, the leaves chimed in perfect chord. I wonder if we can wire a resonance amplifier. Edeora grinned. Easy there, Professor Gadget. Let the tree find its own voice first. That evening, as dusk deepened and the first brave villagers whistled new melodies to the song tree, the sky, come now, held only faint afterglow stripes, as if remembering the festival's tune. Children chased echo-free fireflies, Elders wrote down fresh proverbs about listening, and somewhere a trickster spirit munched planting chips, proud of his part in the story. Edeora slipped away to the riverbank, lifted her mother's lucky stone, and whispered, "Thank you for guiding the wind." A soft breeze answered, "No echo, just promise." She returned to the village square, took a deep breath, and whistled the opening notes of tomorrow's song. The leaves answered, chiming back a brave, empathetic harmony that would outlive them all. And thus, in Umunkiri, every sunset became a cue for music, curiosity, and kind questions, proof that traditions can bloom when watered by courage. The end.